All right, so with our handsome Mr. Leon, ready, sir? We were going to warm up a little bit with some engagement from the environment back to the handler. But I also wanted to work on a little bit with some focus on eye contact. So right now we're just going to warm up with our typical getting them up and wiggling, doing a bit with some find its, with then this really nice orientation back to me. So again, a lot of great benefits to find it. It can be great for disengagement, for redirection. For a lot of dogs, they find it a lot more motivational to chase food or to go and have it be more dynamic than just being fed right to the face. Yes, nice check-in. So for a lot of pups, the movement of the food is going to be more exciting, if that makes sense. Nice. Ready? Find it. Beautiful. So right here we might go, Leon, come. Yes, what a good boy. Nice job. So we'll warm up with a couple little recall moments too, just to get him in. Oh, that's a very nice sit. It's one of his favorites. But we'll warm up with a couple little find its into some recall practice, and then we're going to dive into those focus on eyes. Oh, smart man. So even if I don't get to necessarily say the recall word, I'm going to go ahead and reinforce this handsome guy for any of his really great efforts to come back to me from the environment. So Leon, come. So right now he's on to an odor. So remember, if we say his name and the recall word, nothing happens. Nice job. Give him like at least 3 to 5 seconds to process. Maybe he was a little bit lost when you asked the first time. Doesn't mean he's being, again, non-responsive on purpose. There's a lot going on for a lot of adolescent puppies, including, again, both mental and physical development is pretty hardcore at this point where they're still growing. Nice job, sir. So again, we're going to send away another little morsel. Ready, find it. And then from here, we'll see if I can go ahead. Leon, come. Yes, what a good boy. So obviously, two quick little recall rules. Don't, again, make recalls the end of fun. So if, let's say, every time you call Mr. L, it's time to come into the home, he's going to view that recalls are now the bringer of the end of the outdoor time. Nice check-in, sir. So, and the problem with that is then eventually recalls equal the end of the good stuff. We also don't want to pair it with something he finds overwhelming. So, for example, if he does not like his toenails touched or he's working on some sort of handling, he's like, lady, I didn't see that one fly. Ready? We'll do another one. Find it. So if he, for example, does not like certain handling and you're calling him to you to go do that thing, he might then start to think the recall was the precursor to that touch or that handling. So we want to be a little bit careful and start really working on cooperative care, which would be something that would be really helpful for all of the dogs or all the puppies technically, because they're all teenagers, to make sure that they're going in the right direction for feeling safe when certain procedures or skills have to be applied down the road. Nice job, sir. What a smart boy. So like the third recall rule would be to make sure we're not, again, scolding when they finally do come to you. Even if your puppy's done the silliest thing ever, like run across the road and then finally come back, if we get agitated or grumpy with them, they're not going to realize that you're mad because of what they've just done prior. They're going to think you're mad because of them eventually coming to you and working that recall. Nice job, sir. So for the eye contact, what we're going to end up doing is this can again be look, watch me, focus, eyes. There's all different slogans for eyes on you. Pick one that makes sense. I'm pretty certain you guys were working on look, but if it's wrong, just let me know and we can make sure I'm using the right slogan for him. So in the beginning, if my puppy had no idea what the heck I was going to be doing, I'm going to just bring him a little closer so we can see him better. I'm going to do a little find it. So what we're going to do is with our food in the beginning, we're going to lure for the behavior. So I'm going to go to his little sniffer. I'm going to bring it up to my eyes, go look, and then yes to feed him. So in the beginning, the food is helping to create the behavior. Later, the food will be the paycheck for the response that he gives me. So if let's say again right now we go look and the food is up in my eyes, yes, and feed for that. His little freckles on his face are so cute. So again, look, yes. If your puppy happened to look away when you're getting this attempted eye contact, I would recommend to create it a little bit shorter. So if let's say your babe can barely manage like even a second, try a half a second. Even if it's a side eye or like a glance in your direction, if your dog is much more sensitive, I would start there. Eye contact for a lot of dogs is a bit overwhelming and a little bit spooky, especially if they don't know you, or if in general some dogs are more sensitive to direct eye contact. It can be really overwhelming and threatening. So right here, we're going to go into a little look. Yes. If Mr. L had looked away, I would restart the behavior. So I would just start from square one, re-ask with the cue word for that response. So now he's getting pretty good. I'm going to empty my hand. I'm going to go into ready, look, and then yes to feed him. So it's not the food being presented first, but now the food is given for when he does the thing. So we're going to go into a look and then yes to feed. Smart boy. And this can be in the beginning done stationary. Later, you could even do this. Ready, look. Yes. You could do this while in motion, or maybe as you're wiggling from one environment to another, you could ask for some focus on you. So again, we're going to go back into ready, look. Yes. Eventually, you would be able to fade out your cue word. Sorry, not your cue word, your hand signal, and ask for it without just the word instead of just using both the hand and the word. So, but for a lot of puppies, they are super visual. So having a eye contact moment with its visual makes more sense than even the words. So if you're finding that your puppies don't quite know what you're doing because you look very similar when you ask for many different skills, I would definitely throw in hand signals because that'll make it more clear. Oh, we almost had it down. Make it more clear for your puppy. So we'll take a little break just from these eyeballs for a second. I want to see if we can rock a little bit with that down. Oh, yes. What a smart man. So we'll see how these puppy push-ups are coming along. So for this, from the down to get a standing position, I like to lower the puppy stand into a standing position. We might go into a sit and feed for that. So if you're ever, for example, rotating stand, I'd make sure that you're feeding for each position, especially in the beginning as the puppy's giving it to you. If you weren't looking for a certain position, you could skip feeding because maybe you were looking for another one, and that's okay. But let's say right here, we're going to go into our down. Yes, and I'm going to go ahead. It gets stuck with his saliva and feed him for that. So again, stand. So right here, my hand is now empty. I'm going to see if he can target the hand. He's like, my brain is melted. If he gets a little bit, a nice job. If he were to get a little bit too uncertain or confused, if you're starting to fade out the food from your hand, so you're fading out that lure, and now you're going from feeding right as he does the behavior, if the food is not presented first, he may get a little confused because that's what he was used to. So again, my hand is empty. I'm going to ask for that down. Yes, and I'm going to maybe feed that a few little reps here because I want him to, again, find that down has a lot of great value, especially if he thought it was a bit silly or he didn't quite understand it earlier. So it was very pretty. So now again, we're going to try for our stand. Yes, good job. He's like, this is not so shabby. But if, again, you're ever struggling with a certain position, remember that at times, if your puppy's not feeling safe or comfortable or too excited, so like big emotions from one end or another, you're more than likely not going to be able to get certain behaviors because it's going to potentially make them feel more trapped or more anxious. So remember, stationary positions can make a dog feel more stuck and therefore more overwhelmed when things or items or people or dogs are approaching. So I would highly recommend movement behaviors are much better for when your puppies are feeling stuck, especially when they're maybe in a home, behind a fence, or even on gear, so on a leash or a collar and a harness of some kind. And then that could be a moment where even though they're not loose, you could help them feel more relaxed, feeling that there isn't out. So when in doubt, a lot of times we've discussed this prior, is the environment sort of fuels or drives behavior. And then depending on your puppy's either learned history or background that they've dealt with thus far, or even genetics, are all going to play a moment in how they're perceiving information and how they're responding to it. So right here, maybe we'll go into working a little bit with some loose leash walking just for a couple good pass-bys. Ready? And then what I'd like to do is go in, and I don't care if he's on the left or the right. For right now, I just want him to think that it's fun to be near the handler and somewhat engaged. Ready? And maybe he prefers one side. He's like, I like both sides. So right here, I'm just feeding for while he's by my leg. And two, if let's say this was still a work in progress, you could also do a little bit with a find it, get your puppy up and moving. And then from there, see if they can then back to you and orient to your side. And then you'd feed for when they come back into your space. So like right here, yes, I'm gonna feed for that. So the benefit of this too is it helps your puppy start to reorient back to you when later there could be real distractions going on. Right now I'm on purpose sending him away to see if I can get him to hone back in on me. Yes, nice job. Smart boy. So good. Yeah, smart man. So let's say we're going to go back to some of those eye contact situations. Good job, sir. You can also work name recognition. So I know you guys have your other little lady at home. So since you have multiple dogs, like some other folks do too, is I'd highly recommend to think of who do you want, so say their name, and then ask for the skill you were looking for. For some households, they do have different slogans for recalls for one dog versus another. Excuse me, you do not have to do that if you don't want to. Excuse me, seltzer. But I would recommend to say who you'd like and then work on that skill with them. The problem with having one slogan and not let the dog know who you're talking to is you might get both of them at the same time, which is fine. But a lot of times then you can't work independently with each particular dog. So we're going to get our little sit. I'm going to go ahead and say yes and feed him for that. So with this eye contact exercise, this is called the two-hand cookie game. So this one's going to consist of having several snacks in each one of your hands. You're going to, in the beginning stages, you're going to either have your hands just off to the side. Eventually, they might go behind your back, or they could even be moving a little bit. But the main goal is the dog would go from, instead of looking at your hands or your pouch, they would go into instantly checking in without being asked to do so. So you're not giving them the answer, you're waiting for him to find your face. So I'm going to show him his snackies. My hands are going to off to the sides. The moment Mr. L, yes, locks his little eyeballs onto my eyes, I'm going to feed him. Yes. Even if it's the softest and quickest little glance into my face, yes. Because in the beginning, if he doesn't know the game and I don't feed him for any small attempt, smart boy, then he's not going to find value in giving this a try. Yes. So as opposed to me asking for focus the whole time and telling him, hey, you check in, yes, he's doing it sort of on his own. So this is going to create more of natural but automatic check-ins from his end to you versus you always asking for the check-in. So let's say Mr. L is doing a really nice job with the hands out by my sides. I'm going to go ahead and show him what he can have. I'm going to hold them behind or sort of to my sides for starters. Yes. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll put one hand behind my back so I change up the way I look visually. Yes. So it shouldn't matter what your hands are up to. The main goal, there's an airplane going by, so I don't know if that's a little distracting. Oh, he's getting so tired. You can lie down as well. Yes. So your puppy could be standing, sitting, lying down. Yes. They could also be walking a little bit. Smart boy. Yes. So he's instantly just right into my face. Beautiful job, sir. Nice work. So step number one would be hands off to the side. Make it easy. If your puppy gets frustrated, so some puppies, if they don't understand the game and they really want the food, but they're feeling like, why is this not working? I don't understand. See, he comes to find me. Good job. Then your puppy might start to bark. So if you're getting a lot of barking, it's normally your puppy saying, I don't understand, I'm frustrated, I need more assistance. They could also be really excited about the food and feel that it's going too slow and then get frustrated that way. So if you ever have a moment where your puppy is yelling and barking throughout the training, especially when trying to work with the two-hand cookie game, take a pause and go into working a look, he's like, yes ma'am, or work with some name recognition. So let's say, for example, pretend Mr. L was barking when I was doing the two-hand cookie game. I might go into doing a find it, get him up and moving, and then from there, go, Leon, yes, and feed him for name recognition because it seems easier for him. That way you're also helping your puppy get up and move and it's not as frustrating. So for the two-hand cookie game, the third hardest step, so remember we start off with hands off to the sides and he's rocking it already. And then we start with maybe hands behind our back or hands moving and he still will just come to find your face. The third more difficult step would be to show your puppy the snacks, bring them up to your, oh, don't hit the mic, up to your chest, and then turn and see if your puppy can then come to find the front of you. So if this is really confusing to him in the beginning, he's never really rocked it this way yet. He's only done the hands off to the side. So he may not be completely sure of how to play the game now that I've changed it up a little bit. So what we're waiting, yes, is for the handsome guy to come find my front and then come and lock eyes with me. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to show him the food, bring it towards my chest, turn away, I know it started raining. Yes. And then feed for when those beautiful eyeballs hit my eyes as well. So again, I'm going to feed for, again, that beautiful engagement. Just going to give him an extra bonus bit. So I'm going to show him the snacks, turn away from him, and then see if he can come find me again towards the front of my body. So if this was way too hard, oh, smart man, yes. If this was way too hard for him, start it easy peasy with, again, hands off to your sides, or sometimes hands behind your back, or one hand could be moving. But the main goal is that we want Mr. L to lock eyes, and that's where he's getting the marker for doing the right thing and the food. So remember, marking behavior, good job, sir, we'll do a little find it. So marking behavior is going to help your puppy learn quickly what is getting reinforced. So because if you feed, let's say, a few moments after the skill, or maybe, for example, the puppy doesn't quite know what is being reinforced, there could be a little bit more confusion. So for a lot of puppies, the quicker we let them know exactly the moment they did the right thing physically, then the quicker they can learn that must be the reason behind the paycheck. So those are things to think about. Nice job, sir. Well, maybe give him a little breather from this one. Smart boy. And we'll do a little bit with some other skills. So I'm just going to do an easy peasy find it, give him a little breast, but he's doing a really nice job with those eyes. Great eye contact.